Before man drew breath, war broke out in heaven. Lucifer, the radiant light-bearer. Michael, heaven's unyielding warrior. The first clash shook eternity, but the dragon rose again. Now, heaven faces its greatest war. Light against darkness, faith against pride. Michael versus Lucifer. This is not legend, the clash that defined heaven and changed the earth. And if these battles stir your spirit, stand with us. Like this video. Subscribe to Bible Stories Untold TV, because the war in heaven is only the beginning. What if your destiny was to command the armies of heaven in a war that would decide the fate of creation? History remembers kings rising and kingdoms falling. Yet above those thrones, greater wars were fought in the heavens, and their outcomes shaped the nations below. At the center of those battles stood Michael, the archangel, heaven's champion. He is called the Great Prince, commander of the armies of heaven, entrusted to guard the throne of God and the people chosen by God. His greatness was not born of ambition, but of incorruptible faith, of loyalty unbroken when rebellion tested heaven. When Gabriel, God's messenger to men, was blocked by the Prince of Persia, Michael broke through so Daniel, a prophet exiled in Babylon, could receive a vision of hope. When the devil sought the body of Moses, Michael stood and ended the dispute with a single rebuke. Each time he fought above, hope survived below. When Michael rose, angels followed. When his sword was drawn, heaven rallied. He is the guardian who holds the line between light and darkness, the defender appointed to stand when no other would. In Jewish tradition, he is honored as Israel's defender. In Islam, he is Mikael, the angel of mercy who sustains life. In apocryphal tales, he appears as protector of the Virgin Mary and as guide of souls awaiting redemption. Always, he is seen as the champion who stands when none else can. Michael's faith was more than loyalty. It was the anchor that kept heaven secure when rebellion stirred. Yet even as Michael stood in faith, another presence turned to pride. His name was Lucifer, which means light-bearer. Once radiant among the highest angels, he now set his eyes on the throne itself. And Michael, heaven's shield, would one day face him in open war. Lucifer was unlike any other angel. His beauty was dazzling, his voice like music, his presence radiant like a star among stars. Yet what set him apart from Michael was clear. Michael's greatness was faith and obedience, but Lucifer's was pride. What had been given as a gift, he desired as his own. Pride rose in him, twisting honor into ambition and ambition into rebellion.
I will ascend above the stars of God. I will set my throne on high. I will be like the Most High.
This was the first rebellion. For the first time, heaven saw war. Harmony was broken and angels were divided. Some listened to Lucifer's promises of glory, others resisted his deceit. And one figure stood against him, Michael, heaven's warrior.
Lucifer, your pride has no place before the throne. The glory is not yours to claim.
The clash echoed through the courts of heaven. Lucifer fought with persuasion, drawing angels to his side. His voice promised thrones and crowns. His presence dazzled with the brilliance he once bore. But Michael fought with faith, steady and unshaken, commanding the loyal hosts to stand firm. Wings thundered, voices clashed, light against corrupted light. When it ended, Lucifer fell. This was his first defeat, his first fall from the heights. The light-bearer's brilliance turned to darkness, and his name became bound to rebellion. Michael's stand kept heaven secure, yet the adversary's hatred did not die. Cast down, he turned his gaze toward the earth, seeking a new battlefield where his whispers could still wound creation. A long age passed, and among men he moved like a shadow, weaving corruption into their story. His brilliance was gone, but his cunning remained, and his lies began to shape generations. In the garden, he twisted God's words, planting doubt in Eve's heart. Through one lie, innocence was broken, and death entered creation. Time moved on, and Lucifer sought another heart to corrupt. He found Cain, whose offering lacked faith, and poured envy into his frustration until it burned like fire. Violence entered the world, but behind it was the adversary's hand. He raised idols where the Creator should be worshipped. Nations bowed before stone and fire. What he had failed to seize in heaven, he tried to claim through mankind. But though ages passed and his corruption spread, heaven restrained him. Michael and the loyal angels guarded the line. The adversary could deceive, but he could not conquer. So his hatred grew with time. It smoldered in the shadows, waiting for the moment to strike again. And at last, that moment came. His corruption reached its height. The earth was filled with violence, every thought of mankind bent toward evil. Lucifer looked and rejoiced, for he believed his victory was complete.
They are mine. Their hearts are corrupted. The image of God is erased.
But heaven answered with a flood. Waters rose, washing away the world he had twisted. Centuries of deception drowned in a moment, and only Noah and his family endured, sealed by God's command and guarded by Michael.
A promise will not be broken. A new beginning will rise from the waters.
For Lucifer, it was more than defeat. It was humiliation. His masterpiece of corruption had been swept away, and behind his loss stood Michael once more. From that day, hatred boiled into rage. What whispers could not win, war would claim. His schemes drowned, his idols broken, his corruption restrained. Every defeat fed the fire within him. So he turned to the only strength left to him. He summoned the angels who had followed him in his rebellion, spirits now twisted, bound to his cause. From the depths they answered his call, rising in fury to stand at his side.
Brothers, the throne should be ours. Why bow to a king who hides glory behind weakness? Follow me, and you will share my crown. Follow me, and creation itself will serve us.
His words were poison, but they stirred the wounded pride of his followers. What hatred alone could not bind, deception sealed. Promises of power, whispers of freedom, lies dressed as destiny. With these he drew his legions together. Driven by pride, he gathered his army, dark and furious as their master. Their wings beat like a storm, their cries thundered in defiance, and together they rose from the abyss toward the courts of heaven. The journey was not without resistance. Ancient guardians stood watch at the thresholds of heaven, sentinels of light who had kept the peace since creation. But the dragon pressed forward. Fueled by fury and bound by deception, they overwhelmed the skies, darkness surging against the gates of light, demanding entry. And so the dragon ascended, carrying hatred as if it were his crown, determined to destroy what he could not corrupt in whispers. The gates of heaven stood waiting, the light unyielding as his dark army drew near. Word reached Michael, the great prince of heaven. Messengers of light came swiftly, declaring that the dragon and his legions had broken past the guardians and were advancing toward the courts of the Almighty.
Michael, the dragon's legions move like a storm. The guardians strain at the gates, and the heavens tremble at their cry.
The adversary no longer hid in whispers. He thundered with demands, and his ambition was colossal. He sought to overthrow Michael, to draw angels into his rebellion, and to seize dominion over creation. But Michael stood firm. He gathered the loyal, radiant as the stars of heaven, reminding them that they fought for the throne of the Almighty and for the harmony of creation. He assured them they were not alone, but united, bound in loyalty under the gaze of their king.
Stand your ground. We fight for the kingdom that cannot be shaken. The dragon comes in fury, but he cannot overcome truth. Ready yourselves, for heaven will endure.
And if these words stir your spirit, walk with us in this journey. Follow, like, and subscribe to Bible Stories Untold TV, where the hidden battles of heaven are brought to light and remembered for all generations. Michael's call was not only a command, it was the spark of a war that would shake creation itself. At his command, the armies of light assembled. Their ranks stretched vast across the heavens, their radiance driving back the void. United under Michael's lead, they stood unyielding, prepared for the war. And the war was unlike any kingdom of men with swords and armies. It was the heavens themselves, where creation's order trembled as light and darkness met face to face. The dragon rose in fury, no longer radiant, but twisted by loss, leading legions from the depths against the throne of the Almighty.
I saw his legions pour in like a storm. For a moment I trembled, but Michael's voice steadied me. His command felt like a rock that could not be moved.
Satan hurled his fury in waves. His fallen angels struck with chaos, seeking to tear apart the order of heaven, to scatter the loyal, and to claim what was not his. But Michael stood firm. His ranks did not waver. They moved as one, shining like stars in one great constellation, their strength magnified by unity, their courage anchored in the throne of the Eternal.
Stand together. Do not let fear divide you. Truth is our shield, and the throne of our King cannot be moved.
The clash shook the heavens. Thrones quivered, constellations dimmed, and creation itself seemed to pause as the war erupted. The heavens had never seen such fury nor such resolve. But the dragon pressed harder. His legions struck like a storm across the heavens, and the loyal staggered beneath the assault. Darkness spread, and for a moment, heaven itself bent under his rage. His banners rose higher, his voice thundered with pride demanding the throne, and his followers pressed with relentless force. Chaos rippled through Michael's ranks, and shadows coiled around the very courts of heaven. Nothing could withstand him. When all seemed lost, Michael lifted his hand, and a blaze of light surged like a river of fire. It spread through the loyal, restoring their strength. Confusion vanished, unity returned, and their voices rose as one.
Stand with me. The dragon cannot hold what belongs to the living God. The truth will be your strength.
Radiance burst through the shadows, and the loyal stood united once more. Heaven roared with renewed strength, and the battle rose to its fiercest point. Amid the storm, the battlefield shifted. Satan himself pushed through the ranks, his fury clearing a path. The loyal was pushed back, and the armies gave way, until the two commanders stood face to face, Michael the archangel and the dragon, Satan himself.
This throne is mine. I will rise above the stars. No power can cast me down.
You have no place here. Heaven belongs to the Almighty. Your reign is over.
Their voices shook the heavens. The loyal watched as Michael advanced, calm and unyielding, carrying the authority of the Most High. Satan struck with fury, but his blows scattered like shadows before the light. Then Michael struck. Light shone out, and the dragon fell back. His wings weakened, his cry resounded through the heavens, and the strength of his rebellion broke apart. And the end came. Satan and his angels were thrown down from heaven, cast out in a storm of lightning and shadow. They fell like fire to the earth, stripped of their place in the heights. Michael's victory was not only in the battle. He sealed the heavens so the dragon could never rise again. The throne was secure, and the war above was finished. Heaven celebrated its freedom, but the earth shook beneath a darker weight. The dragon, stripped of his place above, now unleashed his wrath upon mankind with unrestrained fury.
Rejoice, O heavens, but woe to the earth, for the devil has come down to you in great anger, knowing his time is short.
From that moment, the war changed its ground. Heaven was free, but mankind became the battlefield. Michael's fight was no longer at the gates above, but in the defense of God's people on earth. From that moment, the struggle no longer touched the courts of heaven, but the kingdoms of men. His lies wove into rulers, his rage spread through nations, and his shadow stirred conflict wherever the name of God was raised. Through the rise and fall of empires, Michael's presence has remained a hidden constant. His name threads through prophecy and history, a sign that heaven has never left its people without a guardian. Every rebellion met his strength, and every scheme of the adversary was broken when he stood. Yet the story of Michael is not only about battles won, it is about the promise that light will always return when darkness rises. The war in heaven has ended, but the struggle of earth still unfolds. Satan's fury is chained to time, and though his shadow presses heavy upon nations, his end draws nearer with every generation. One day the trumpet will sound, the dead will rise, and Michael's voice will resound once more as the dragon's reign collapses into silence. That day will not belong to the accuser, but to the king he tried to overthrow. Until that day, Michael remains the guardian of ages, heaven's warrior, earth's protector, and the eternal sign that no throne of darkness can overcome the light of God. The war in heaven has ended, but its echo still shapes our world. Every shadow of pride, every spark of faith still whispers of that ancient clash. And one truth remains: no throne of darkness will ever overcome the light of God. If this story has stirred your spirit, let its fire not end here. Stand with us as we uncover more battles, more mysteries, more untold chapters of heaven's story. Like this video. Subscribe to Bible Stories Untold TV. Be part of the journey, so that these stories of faith and eternity live on for all generations.